Hey folks, if you want to stay updated on the latest developments, make sure you follow S News. Support us by subscribing, liking, and commenting so you never miss a story. Thanks for being with us. Israel attacks Damascus, Syria, and Iran. Well, they won't stay silent. A second battle could be coming, so stay tuned.
A huge explosion just struck Syria's defense ministry building.
According to several reports, Israeli airstrikes also hit areas near the Syrian presidential palace in Damascus. Armored vehicles loaded with weapons and weapon depots were also targeted in southern Syria. The Syrian Foreign Ministry said the Israeli strikes hit government institutions and civilian infrastructure in both Damascus and other parts of the country. The increasing and bold nature of these attacks has sparked reactions around the world.
One of the countries most strongly opposing Israel's actions is Iran, which even threatened to respond after the explosion in Damascus.
A Syrian TV channel recently aired footage of an Israeli airstrike on Damascus, the capital. According to sources, a news anchor on Syrian TV was suddenly cut off during a live broadcast when the defense ministry was bombed. An Al Jazeera reporter was also seen ducking for cover live on air as a massive explosion went off behind him. The Israeli strike on Wednesday caused serious damage to the Ministry of Defense and hit targets near the presidential palace.
This marks a major escalation by Israel against the transitional government led by President Ahmed al-Shara. The attack came amid rising tribal clashes between the Druze and Arab Bedouins in the Swaida region over recent days.
After the strike, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his forces are trying to, rescue our Druze brothers and eliminate regime-affiliated militias. On the other side, the Syrian Foreign Ministry accused Israel of a dangerous act of aggression. Netanyahu also said he's committed to protecting the Druze community, pointing out that, many Druze also live in Israel and the occupied Golan Heights. Meanwhile, Defense Minister Israel Katz wrote in the Express newspaper that the warning period for Damascus is over, and the Israeli military will continue operating heavily in Swaida until all forces attacking the Druze withdraw. He commented on a video clip showing a news anchor ducking under a desk as the Israeli airstrike hit the Syrian Defense Ministry in central Damascus's Umayyad Square, saying, "The painful blow has begun."
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed deep concern over the violence in southern Syria, but said he's confident it will be resolved within hours. He mentioned that clear steps had been agreed upon to defuse the dangerous situation tonight.
Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara responded to Israel's attack on Damascus by admitting his failure to protect the Druze community. After the fall of dictator Bashar al-Assad, I had promised to lead an inclusive government and protect all of Syria's diverse communities. But, hardline Sunni groups aligned with me continue to commit violent acts against religious minorities. In March, hundreds were reportedly killed in a crackdown on the Alawite community, Assad's sect, in Latakia, western Syria. In April, clashes between pro-government forces and militias left at least 100 people dead. One of the key issues straining relations between the new Syrian government and the Druze is the disarmament and integration of militias. Al-Shara, who's trying to unify the armed factions under a single army, has so far failed to reach an agreement with the Druze, who insist on keeping their weapons and independent militias. Some Druze, who had opposed Assad's authoritarian rule, now remain skeptical of Al-Shara. He's seen as a religious leader with a jihadist background. The Druze have also voiced concerns about being sidelined in the national dialogue process and underrepresented in the new government, which includes only one Druze minister. On Tuesday, just hours after government forces entered the city, Syrian Defense Minister Mahaf Abu Kasra announced a ceasefire after reaching an agreement with unnamed local leaders. He said military police had been deployed to regulate army behavior and hold violators accountable. However, on Wednesday, the Defense Ministry said criminal groups continued attacking government forces, prompting retaliatory strikes, according to the country's official news agency. Israel's objective appears to be full control over Syria. Since Assad's regime fell in December 2024, Israel has taken control of, the Syrian army has gained more ground inside the country, launching repeated attacks with the stated goal of preventing the rebuilding of military capabilities and eliminating extremism that could threaten national security.
Meanwhile, Israel continues its strikes, even though its closest ally, the United States, is pushing it to normalize relations with Syria, now under the control of a new government. The United States is trying to steer regional countries in a different direction and, expects Syria to eventually join the Abraham Accords, which are these normalization agreements between Israel and several Arab nations. Last month, a senior U.S. official told CNN that siding with Israel would benefit Syria. In May, President Donald Trump met with President Sarah in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It was the first high-level meeting between the United States and Syria in decades. Ahead of the meeting, Turkey lifted U.S. sanctions on Syria, a move welcomed by the Syrian government as a step toward reintegrating into the international community.
Israel has expressed interest in expanding the agreement. After its deadly conflict with Iran, Netanyahu claimed that Israel's victory had paved the way for a dramatic expansion of the peace deal. He said Israel is actively working on it. Foreign Minister Gadi Onar outlined the countries Israel is targeting for normalization. Late last month, Netanyahu said at a joint press conference with the Austrian foreign minister, Israel is committed to expanding the circle of peace and normalization through the Abraham Accords. We're interested in bringing countries like Syria and Lebanon, our neighbors, into this peace circle, while protecting Israel's core interests and security.
Israel has held both direct and indirect talks with Syria's new government. These shifting dynamics between former enemies come after the fall of the Assad regime.
But Iran isn't staying quiet. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry expressed concern over the fighting in Syria and criticized the UN Security Council's failure to stop Israeli aggression in Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghi voiced deep concern over the violence in Sweda, southern Syria, where dozens of civilians were reportedly killed. He strongly condemned the Israeli military strikes on Syria in the past 2 days. He also warned that the Security Council's inaction in the face of Israeli attacks in the region is extremely dangerous and only encourages more aggression from the occupying regime. Baghi stressed that Israel's ongoing military actions are undermining Syria's territorial integrity, as large parts of the country remain under occupation. He also called on regional and Islamic countries to pay serious attention to Israel's repeated violations of international law, including what he described as unprecedented acts of genocide in Gaza, as well as continued attacks on Syria and Lebanon.
So the question is, why is the world staying silent? There haven't been any serious actions to stop these attacks, or even to impose the kind of sanctions Russia faced when it openly invaded Ukraine. Finally, folks, thanks so much for listening and sticking with us. Be sure to follow S News and check out our future videos.